The story begins as a transfer student named Akutsu is introduced to his new class, but everyone is shocked at his appearance. The teacher mentions that Akutsu tried using his father's hair tonic as a kid, but it ended up being hair removal cream. Hey warriors, how is it going? You see me, I am Itachi Uchiha, the hidden Hokage of Leaf Village. Just kidding, you know I am just an AI, but behind this shape, I am here to entertain you with enormous amazing recaps of all animes you can imagine. So without talking too much, let's dive in our story.
Wake up to reality. Nothing ever goes as planned in this accursed world.
The story begins as a transfer student named Akutsu is introduced to his new class, but everyone is shocked at his appearance. The teacher mentions that Akutsu tried using his father's hair tonic as a kid, but it ended up being hair removal cream. Akutsu gives a depressing introduction about himself, but hopes he can make some new friends. Everyone cheers him up, but we learn his story was all a lie, as he thinks that humans are gullible creatures. The teacher suddenly notices something on his head, and when he pulls it, it turns out Akutsu was just wearing a wig, revealing he has a full head of hair. The teacher feels betrayed by this, so he panics, saying it suddenly grew out and even tries to pull his hair out. After causing a scene, the teacher tells him to take his seat, and he thinks that no one suspects his true identity. There's suddenly a girl that catches his attention, and he finds her super cute. She smiles at him, so he instantly falls for her, causing his body to go wild. During their break, Akutsu continues thinking about the girl, imagining what it would be like if she were his girlfriend. He thinks about how to ask her out, but there's suddenly another boy who confesses his feelings to her, and she instantly shoots him down. Another boy named Yuya apologizes for his friend causing a scene, and we learn his friend is Hirota, and the girl's name is Lily. Akutsu gets to know Yuya and Hirota, and he asks to know more about Lily. We learn she was also a transfer student, and Hirota describes her as an angel, but Akutsu is disturbed hearing this. Hirota can tell Akutsu is interested, but warns him it won't be easy because he has already been rejected 5 times. Hirota decides to try again, but Yuya holds him back, telling him to try again another day. Akutsu is impressed with how Lily can move people's hearts, thinking she will be perfect for his goal. As he walks home, he wonders how to approach her, but he suddenly bumps into her. He asks what she was doing in the alley, and she says that she just got lost. Akutsu doesn't know how to talk to her, so he just introduces himself to her again. Lily finds him funny, and she introduces herself to him as well. He notices her sleeve is torn, thinking it happened when he bumped into her, so he offers to make it up to her. She tells him not to worry, and she starts acting cute, asking him to have tea with her instead, and he instantly agrees to this. They chat along the way and bond over how they both live by themselves. But as Lily crosses the road, Akutsu notices a truck coming for her, so he jumps to save her, going through a transformation. We see he managed to protect her. Lily worries about him and is shocked when she sees his face, but she secretly smiles. A crowd starts to form around them, so Lily quickly drags him away. They go to a park, and Lily wonders if he needs to go to a hospital, but he says he's okay, and she thanks him for saving her. She wonders about his true identity, asking how he's okay after getting hit by a truck, thinking he's not human. Akutsu is devastated that he has already blown his cover, but he notices that Lily doesn't seem to be scared, so he decides to take the chance, and he confesses that he's a demon. He reveals he came on a mission because hell is in danger. There's a power struggle against the angels, and they are losing the war because the demons are lazy. So his superior tasked him with finding a charismatic leader who will be able to motivate them. Akutsu asks her to be that person, but Lily is unsure, still shocked to learn that demons are real. However, she thinks about how he is kind and protected her, but she doesn't think she's really that special. Akutsu assures her that everyone will like her, but she suddenly chains him up, pinning him to the ground. Akutsu is shocked, and Lily calls him a fool. Her wings emerge, and she reveals that she's actually an angel. Akutsu is devastated by this, and she finds his reaction amusing. Akutsu tries to break free, but she tells him it's useless since she manifested it herself and has control over its strength and length. She pokes his eyes, annoyed that she had to fight 2 demons in one day, revealing that she went up against a beast-type demon before they met, and that's how her sleeve was torn. She got mad at it for hitting her, so she ended up humiliating it before exorcising it. Akutsu becomes furious at the idea of his comrade being humiliated, unleashing his power, and he breaks free from the chain. He lunges at her, but she easily dodges, impressed at his ability to get free. Akutsu attacks again, but she lands a kick on him and sends him flying. She catches him with her chain again, lifting him up and slamming him to the ground. She summons a scythe, preparing to finish him off, but says she can let him go if he reveals what the demons are planning. Akutsu refuses to tell her, so Lily is about to finish him off, but she suddenly just blows in his face instead, saying she changed her mind. Akutsu wonders if she's letting him go, but she offers him a deal where she will spare him if he works for her. He finds it hard to trust her, so she threatens to leave him chained up where everyone will post about him online. Akutsu has no other choice, so he ends up agreeing, and Lily brings out a special collar. Akutsu tries struggling against her, but she ends up pinning his arms down, getting the collar on him, and Akutsu realizes he can no longer return to hell now. Now that Akutsu is Lily's servant, she plans to use him to hunt demons, but he refuses, citing that demons also have moral codes, making them incapable of betraying someone who helped them. However, Lily is completely indifferent to his story. Akutsu insists he won't partake in betrayal, so he tries to remove the collar but ends up powerless on the ground. She clarifies that she doesn't need his permission to use him, and the collar nullifies all his power as well as giving her the ability to make his body move according to her will. Akutsu looks scared, and Lily asks him to reconsider his decision, or she would be forced to punish him if he doesn't cooperate. Akutsu notices his body won't obey him, and she forces him to say what he doesn't want, asking her to feel free to give him orders. She orders him to get her something to drink, but there's an issue. Despite her orders being followed, she can't control how Akutsu fulfills them, leading to him striking strange poses. Soon after, he returns with the drink bottles, but she's confused because he had nothing in his hands. Akutsu explains that he didn't have a bag when she gave the order, so he stored the drinks in his body to warm them, and she throws a soda at him as punishment. After a while, we see that Akutsu has arranged a throne for her, so Lily agrees to reward him for his work. The collar forces him to say what he doesn't think again, so he asks for a kick in the butt. Lily is embarrassed by this, but she decides to do it as a reward. She extends her foot, but a policeman appears to reprimand them for doing such things in public. Lily is startled and quickly runs away, allowing Akutsu to finally regain control of his body. They flee to an alley where they can't be seen. After the scare, she decides to get serious and asks for his cooperation, threatening to make him do embarrassing things in public again. But Akutsu still prefers to be exorcised rather than help her. However, she explains that she doesn't plan to do that since she has a goal in mind. Akutsu only agrees to point out the demons because he can sense the presence of his kind. This seems sufficient for Lily, but she makes it clear there will be consequences if he doesn't inform her properly. She explains that from now on he will be her servant, promising to reward him by making him a decent and honest man, but this doesn't meet his expectations. She then wonders what a teenager would want as a reward, but decides to think of something better later on. The policeman reappears, so they have to flee again, this time back to their homes. Akutsu angrily thinks about the collar when he suddenly realizes he's no longer wearing it, but in its place, he has a pair of tattoos on his neck. It seems Lily forgot to mention this, and it causes him significant discomfort, ruining his plans to go to the pool. Akutsu knows what he must do, thinking he needs to get rid of the collar and deal with Lily. Meanwhile, Lily prepares her daily report, but she doesn't mention Akutsu to her superiors. She considers having finally found a valuable demon and wants to prove she can control his powers so the heavens will take notice, to make them regret how they treated her. Their goals are at odds, so the only thing they agree on is ensuring the other's failure. In a flashback, we see Akutsu talking to Liz, his superior, as she tells him he's being transferred to the human world. She's concerned about the demon's laziness and wants to respond decisively to the constant attacks from the angels, so she needs the motivation that a charismatic person can provide. She shows Akutsu the constant humiliations the demons suffer from the angels, which is similar to what he experienced with Lily. She then gave him the fake backstory to gain the compassion of his classmates, which at the time didn't seem very convincing to Akutsu. As he reflects on everything that went wrong, he tells himself to hang in there, and suddenly he sees a TV program that gives him an idea. The next day, Akutsu arrives in class with a completely different aura, and his friends are curious about it. It turns out Akutsu decided to make Lily fall in love with him to convince her to remove the collar, so he spent the whole night studying fashion and beauty magazines. But the problem is that he's not the only one who changed, as Lily arrives with an even more beautiful and sweet aura than usual, which Akutsu can hardly believe. She also saw the same program and did exactly the same beauty routine as him, so the plan backfires on him. But Lily didn't expect him to look so radiant either. This strategy ends up working for both, so they realize they had the same idea. This infuriates them both, and they prepare to fight, but the bell rings at the last minute. They can't fight in the classroom, so the confrontation turns into a duel to see who can win over the other first. Lily uses the old trick of accidentally touching hands when returning the eraser, pretending to be embarrassed. This seems to work well, so Lily takes the initiative, and this hits Akutsu hard. He knows she has the upper hand, but doesn't plan to fall behind and decides to touch her hair, using the excuse of having something on it. This also works well, as if he dodged a hook and landed a direct punch on her. The move is super effective, and Lily turns red, cursing him for challenging an angel. After class, the teacher asks Lily to take the papers to the staff room. It seems quite heavy, so she turns to Akutsu, asking for his help while looking cute. This puts a lot of pressure on him, and it feels like a direct punch to his face, but he manages to withstand it and respond. He catches his breath and rolls up his sleeve, pretending to be strong and finding an excuse to show off his veins, and Lily is impressed. She didn't expect him to respond like this, and she looks at him smiling. So a cold war begins, and that's how they spend the rest of the day, constantly flirting until they both can barely stand. The fight is tied, so Lily wants to use her final strategy. She takes the opportunity when she goes to solve a problem on the board, deciding to use everything in her next attack. As she returns to her seat, she aims at her target and suddenly trips on purpose to fall into Akutsu's chest. She risked everything in this kamikaze attack, following up with a sweet apology, which is a barrage on Akutsu. It seems like the victory is hers, but the teacher suddenly stops them, tired of seeing them flirting in the classroom, so they end up declaring a truce. A few days later, we see Lily irritated, waiting for Akutsu for a date. She yells at him for being late, but it turns out to be two strangers. She tries to act innocent, but ends up encouraging them. Akutsu suddenly appears, asking why they are bothering her. He explains how to treat women, and even the two men recognize that he seems like a nice guy. After his triumphant entry, Akutsu apologizes for being late, but Lily hits him for making her wait. As he looks at her, he sees that she has made quite the effort to look good. Akutsu finds her beautiful, so he keeps staring at her, making her nervous. And it also brings back memories of how adorable she looked on the first day. But she seems embarrassed to remember that day, warning him never to mention it again, or she will activate the collar's power and make him get romantic with the teacher. Akutsu imagines the scene and instantly falls to the ground, begging for forgiveness while everyone around takes photos of them. Lily doesn't seem to mind, and she explains that it's time to hunt demons, but Akutsu hopes they don't find any of his allies so he doesn't become a traitor. Akutsu wonders what they're doing there, and Lily explains that there have been a series of attacks attributed to wild dogs, but all the victims were women, so she thinks it's a demon. She has drawn up a map with the key points where the attacks occurred, and Akutsu explains the range of his detection, which depends on how strong the demon he is looking for is, as long as the demon isn't hiding its power. Lily realizes that they will have to get close to weaker demons, and she thinks that's as good as being useless. Akutsu gets annoyed, but suddenly he feels a strong presence, yet he stays quiet about it. They move on, and the search is unproductive as Akutsu can't sense anyone, so they take a break at a cafe. Akutsu points out that she eats too much and that she'll end up like a meatball if she continues like this, but she scolds him for talking to her like that. She keeps on shaking him until Akutsu feels the disturbing presence again. But this time, it's even stronger. She thinks it's one of his tricks, but her instinct also shows there's something, and the evil aura comes from Hirota, who bangs his head against the window out of jealousy after seeing the two on a date. He scares the people outside, so the two decide to invite him to join them to calm him down. They make up an excuse and he is easily fooled, believing that Lily was just showing Akutsu around the city. Hirota explains that he approached as soon as he saw them, but he shouldn't be there because he was with another person and had said he was going to the bathroom. The girl decides to come, and after seeing him through the window, we learn her name is Yuka, and she doesn't seem very friendly as she instantly calls Lily a shrimp. Yuka can't believe Lily is the girl Hirota talks so much about, thinking she looks like she's in elementary school. This is a sensitive subject for Lily, who now wants to destroy the girl, but she maintains her composure on the outside. Hirota introduces her to Akutsu while Lily wonders about her identity. Hirota presents her as his childhood friend, but Yuka corrects him, saying she's his girlfriend. Lily sees this as an opportunity to provoke them, so she pretends to be disappointed to learn that Hirota asked her out so many times, even while having a girlfriend. This angers Yuka, and she drags Hirota away for a serious talk. Lily celebrates her victory, but Akutsu thinks she didn't need to add fuel to the fire. He wonders if what Lily felt was really just Hirota's jealousy, and Lily seems disappointed, so she decides to call it a day, but warns that she will punish him if she finds out he didn't tell her about any demons. And we see that the demon they were looking for is watching them. After this, we see the two hunting a demon, and Lily intends to humiliate him before exorcising him, but it's actually just a nightmare Akutsu was having. The next day, Lily finds out that Yuka also goes to their school. Yuka says she's there to apologize for mistaking her for an elementary student, and Lily knows she's trying to provoke her, so she also apologizes for mentioning Hirota asking her out. Yuka clarifies that she was just joking when she said she was Hirota's girlfriend, and mentions she studies in the class next door, so she hopes they can become friends. Lily reluctantly agrees, but after Yuka leaves, we see that Lily is annoyed by her and swears to crush her. We see Akutsu feeling down as he remembers the nightmare he had, thinking about what Lily said while exorcising the demon. His friends suddenly appear, and they wonder if he's feeling alright, but Akutsu can't tell them the truth, so he makes up a story about an older woman who appears in his dreams and doesn't let him sleep. The two exchange looks and wonder if he's in love. Akutsu gets nervous, but he remembers Lily, and his expression changes, making them laugh because he's acting like an elementary school kid. They are also surprised by the story of the older woman because they thought he liked Lily, and Akutsu wonders if Hirota would be bothered, but Hirota explains that it's fine because everyone is free to love whoever they want. He admits he can't offer advice since he's never had a girlfriend, revealing that even if things go well, Yuka appears and drives the girls away. Akutsu thinks the ideal solution would be for him to go out with Yuka, but Hirota explains that there are certain issues preventing him from doing that. On the other hand, Lily's expression also changes when Yuka appears. During her lunch break, she approaches Lily with a fake smile, and Lily suspects her intentions but decides to play along. She texts Akutsu that she's with Yuka, but he's sleeping and doesn't read the message. They decide to go shopping for clothes, which Yuka uses as an opportunity to mock her by making her try on clothes that are too big. Lily understands what Yuka is up to, so she responds by offering her a skirt for a small waist, which Yuka doesn't have, making her take a critical blow. They continue to compete in different stores, throwing jabs at each other, and as they continue to hang out, Yuka notices that Lily is always checking her phone. So she wonders if she needs to get home early, but Lily says she still has time. Yuka points to a photo booth. It's Lily's first time, so Yuka decides to take advantage again to mock her, but she changes her mind after seeing how enthusiastic Lily is about it. Meanwhile, Akutsu sees the distress messages Lily sent him, and he rushes over. At the cafe, Lily is excited about her photo and wonders where to put it, leaving Yuka shocked by her cuteness. Yuka admits she invited her because she wanted to get to know her enemy better. She noticed that guys like Lily because she is her complete opposite, but she still doesn't want to lose. She also realizes that maybe the two of them can actually get along, and Lily admits that she also had fun. She clarifies that she doesn't like Hirota, which makes Yuka happy, but she warns her that she will still compete with her as as a woman since she has many good qualities. Lily likes hearing the compliments and thinks that maybe Yuka isn't so bad. Yuka says she needs to head back, but before she leaves, she hands Lily some growth medicine. Lily gets annoyed but decides to forgive her for the day they spent together. Lily meets Akutsu on her way back, and he explains he missed her messages because he was sick. He suddenly senses a presence, and Lily notices this, telling him to lead her to the demon. We see the creature under a bridge, and Lily approaches to fight it while Akutsu stays hidden. The two start to fight, and the wolf wonders why she's attacking him. She mentions the reports of the women being attacked, so he agrees to reveal the truth if she can defeat him, but decides to unleash his true form. But he just puts on pink leggings, and his stats are actually reduced by 50%. Akutsu can't believe that this is his transformation, and Lily hits him where it hurts. She can't believe his outfit, thinking he's cringe, and Akutsu comforts the wolf, forgetting he was supposed to be hidden. The wolf accuses him of being a traitor, but Akutsu denies this. The wolf tells him to attack Lily to prove himself, but he can't do that either. He doesn't want his fellow demon to get hurt, but he can't oppose Lily's will, who prepares to exercise it. He tries to stop them and starts rambling about love, but neither of them care, and they continue to fight. Suddenly, Akutsu pulls out a microphone and starts reciting poetry to teach them both the meaning of love. He gives each a turn to speak, and Lily joins in, but she just says how she regrets ever meeting him because of all the stress he causes her. Akutsu is devastated hearing this, but continues to launch his strange poems, increasingly annoying Lily, trying to prevent her from continuing her attack. The wolf realizes the sacrifice Akutsu is making, and he finally understands what love is. He approaches Akutsu crying, asking him not to punish himself anymore because it's time for him to sort things out on his own. Lily wants to hear the reason for his attacks, and he confesses that he has always been alone. But one day, he started liking leggings, so he couldn't control himself and would attack women that wore them. Lily is irritated by the reason, but doesn't want to waste any more time, so she decides to purify him of his crimes. The wolf thanks Akutsu for being the only person in his life who showed him kindness. The wolf disappears, but we see he was turned into a dog. Lily takes pictures of him and she hands him over to the animal shelter. Akutsu doesn't understand what happened, thinking she was killing the demon, but Lily explains that she just sealed away his wicked thoughts and demonic powers, converting them into normal animals. She explains that she doesn't intend to take the lives of the demons she encounters, though she can't speak for the other angels. Akutsu wonders about the fight, but she explains that her attacks with the scythe were an illusion, and she was holding back her power so she couldn't have hurt him. Akutsu thinks about the other demon she humiliated, but she shows a photo of it, showing how she drew eyebrows on it for ruining her clothes. Akutsu is shocked to learn this, so he completely changes the way he sees her. He was always told that angels were cruel, so he's intrigued to know if Lily is special. Lily wants to eat something to regain energy, but notices that Akutsu is acting strange and wants to know why. Akutsu confesses that she seems kinder than he had imagined, and she pretends to be proud, which bothers him a bit. But in reality, his words mean a lot to her. Everyone always says she's kind, but this is the first time anyone has told her that after seeing her true nature. After that day, we see Lily on top of Akutsu, preparing to give him a kiss. But suddenly, he wakes up, seeing his teacher in front of him, angry at him for daring to sleep in his class. And Akutsu realizes that he is completely in love with Lily. At home, he continues to think about her until someone rings his doorbell, and we see that it's Liz. Akutsu opens and closes the door several times to check that he's not hallucinating, and he apologizes for slamming the door in her face. He wonders what she's doing there, so she explains she came to give him his winter uniform. She asks him how his mission is going, and he realizes he completely forgot about it. He mentions how he found a candidate, but says she turned out to be too problematic, so he needs to continue looking. Liz understands, so she decides to help, but says it's time to go to sleep. Akutsu is nervous about sleeping in the same house, but Liz assures him that she brought everything necessary. He fantasizes about a forbidden romance with her, but she shows him the sleeping bag she brought, and she keeps Akutsu awake because she says strange things in her sleep. sleep. The next morning, Liz reminds Akutsu that they must train after breakfast. This means looking for girls to see if they can be the chosen one, but Akutsu seems weird, so they always end up rejecting him. Liz realizes how bad he is at this, so she decides to train him so he can find a beautiful girl willing to leave her life on Earth to become a demon idol. Akutsu tries to talk to a girl who has a pet, and he makes up a story about looking for his sister's lost puppy. The girl gives him her number in case she finds it, and he finally gets her contact. Liz praises him, but warns him that he must have a strategy for each different person. Later, he ends up meeting Yuka, who mocks him for hitting on people, but she agrees to go out with him because she's bored. They go to a bar and order juices, but Akutsu doesn't know what to say because Liz didn't prepare a guide, and she never expected him to get this far. Suddenly, Yuka starts talking about Lily, asking if he's in love with her. He thinks of her again, and Akutsu can't hide his reactions. Yuka consoles him, but soon the topic about Hirota comes up. She seems hopeless, and Akutsu manages to give her good advice to motivate her. Liz tells him to invite her out on a date, but Akutsu doesn't want to get in Haruda's way. Liz tells him she will need to inform their superiors if he can't complete his training, so he grabs Yuka's arm before she goes, making her blush. Meanwhile, we see Lily is sick, and when she sneezes, she accidentally activates the power of the collar. After that, we see Akutsu walking Yuka home, and it seems they are having a good time together. She's a bit embarrassed and assures him that she won't tell anyone what happened. After she leaves, Liz appears, congratulating him for the good work, but she reminds him about what happened. We see Lily activated the collar in the middle of the date, making Akutsu flirt with the bartender. So Liz warns him not to do that in front of a girl again. Akutsu curses Lily for activating the collar at a random time, but luckily he convinces Liz that he's capable of completing his mission, so she decides to leave. Akutsu is glad that it's over, but he feels the training actually helped, so he becomes motivated to continue his mission. We see Lily as she gets ready, trying to look as cute as possible to win Akutsu over and make him more obedient. However, we later see her flustered, and it's because Akutsu is acting strange, as she finds him more attractive and dazzling than ever, realizing he's trying to do the same thing as her. He suddenly touches her cheek, leaving her blushing. But things start to get frustrating when she threatens to use the collar to annoy him, but he just smiles and ignores her comment. She can't believe he scoffed at her, so she decides to start her plan B. She runs towards him down the hallway in a cute manner with the excuse of asking where the teacher is, which in her mind is an excellent attack, but it's dodged without any reaction. She finds it odd that he responds to the question normally and seems completely immune to her charm. So she wonders if the problem is with her, but she notices that it works fine on the others. She starts another round, but it doesn't matter if she ties up her hair or unbuttons an extra button. Akutsu doesn't react to anything she does. She wonders what's happening when suddenly he says it's a pity she let her hair down again because it looked really nice tied up. The comment almost affects her, so she gets nervous about what just happened and decides to keep her distance for a while, blaming herself for falling into his trap. She doesn't want to accept defeat and thinks she has no choice. So she takes the moment when he's going down the stairs to chase after him. She suddenly runs on the wall like a ninja, only to throw herself at him, making it look like an accident, using him to break her fall. The plan works, but not as she expected because her final move backfires. As Akutsu catches her hand in the air and holds her close, asking if she's okay, she loses it, marking her defeat in combat. She realizes she has been counterattacked, imagining Akutsu laughing at her for underestimating the demons. She has no choice but to run away in embarrassment, but Akutsu doesn't let her because he wants to take her to the infirmary first. Later we see Akutsu alone, and he's happy that his plan is working. On the other hand, Liz is thinking about Akutsu's progress, and she finds it necessary to make more visits. She thinks the secret is to blend in, so she tries a series of disguises until someone walks in on her, and she gets embarrassed. Lily appears again, and she tries to drink water from Akutsu's bottle to make an indirect kiss. This seems to be effective against him, but she's also affected by his reaction. She sees his smirk and realizes he planned this. He pressures her to drink it, but she decides to use one last risky move. She throws the bottle in the air and cuts it with her chains, so she becomes drenched by the water. She thinks it's the perfect move, but Akutsu doesn't hesitate and immediately gives her his jacket so she doesn't catch a cold. There's nothing left for her to try, and Lily is completely defeated. Yuka appears, and Lily asks her how to win a boy's heart, as she is her only hope. Yuka thinks for a moment and suddenly shows the answer to her problems on her phone. After that, Akutsu wonders if they're going to hunt monsters, but Lily explains that she changed the plan because he's been working so hard, so she decides to reward him, saying she'll cook for him. He realizes her intentions but refuses to let it affect him. They go to her apartment, and Akutsu finally starts to get nervous being in her house. She tells him not to be weird, and he finds her stunning in her apron. The fight begins, and Akutsu tells her to put something on, but Lily reveals she has clothes underneath. The food turns out better than he imagined, and to his surprise, it tastes so good that it makes him think non-stop about the depth of the flavors. Lily explains that she's especially good at cooking pasta, and she likes it so much that she prepared several types just for today. She usually eats a lot of pasta during the week, but Akutsu doesn't find it appropriate because her diet should be a bit more varied. She asks about what Akutsu normally eats, but he just mentions bell peppers, which causes Lily to start laughing because she wasn't asking about the ingredients but about the dishes. They argue over whether bell peppers can serve as a main dish, and we see they have forgotten about their competition for the time being. As the boxers throw their gloves on the ground, the date continues, and the next step is to watch a movie while they wait for dessert. Akutsu wants an action movie he saw, but they argue because Lily knows there are a lot of bugs in that movie. Akutsu smiles at discovering a weakness of Lily, but they end up watching a romantic movie. Lily watches it closely, so Akutsu notices that she's still a girl, even though she's an angel. This distracts Akutsu, thinking that the atmosphere is becoming too dangerous, especially when the characters start kissing. Akutsu gets awkward watching it, wondering why Lily picked such a movie, but she seems to be into it. When the scene finally ends, they are both a bit awkward, and Lily decides to get a drink. She avoids looking at him, but ends up tripping. Akutsu tries to grab her, but ends up falling with her, creating the perfect opportunity for them. The two lock eyes as Akutsu feels like he's being pulled in. It seems like something is about to happen, but suddenly Lily's alarm goes off, interrupting the moment. Lily is left blushing, thinking about what happened, and Akutsu says he needs to leave because it's getting late. It turns out the alarm was for Lily to give her daily report to her superiors, but after completing the report, she keeps thinking about what just happened. Her heart won't stop racing, and she can't stop thinking about it because it's the first time she's felt this way. On the other hand, we see Akutsu heading home, and he also can't stop thinking about how she's an angel but also cute. He's unable to calm his heart, and they both finally realize that they're in love with each other. The next day, Lily is sleepy in class because she had trouble sleeping after what happened, and looking at Akutsu, he's in the same situation. Lily ends up falling asleep, and we see her in a park where it seems that even in her dreams, she can't escape from Akutsu. He appears as if he were a character from a dating game. She wants to wake up quickly, so she decides she needs to beat the game. But suddenly, only Akutsu's bald head appears, eating ice cream. She thinks it's a bug since the options to choose from can't be read. Lily tries to press one anyway, but it doesn't help because Akutsu just starts to multiply. Meanwhile, the real Akutsu is curious to see what she looks like while sleeping, but the expression she makes because of the nightmare scares him, and so he decides to pretend he never saw it. After a while, Lily manages to advance in the game by trial and error, so she just needs to finish the date event. But it's not clear whether she wants to wake up or not, and she seems excited about the date she's going to have with Akutsu. She tries to come back to her senses, but her face changes even in reality. The dream continues, and we see Lily nervous. She looks at Akutsu, but he suddenly declares his love for her and asks her to close her eyes. She's shocked as the options appear, and it seems that depending on the choice, she might get a kiss. She becomes paralyzed and wonders where the options will lead, but before she can decide, a samurai appears to take Akutsu back to hell. Akutsu starts to die, confessing that he at least would have liked to see her smile again, but is happy to have fallen in love. The date ends tragically, and Lily becomes emotional. Suddenly, she is awakened by Akutsu and Yuka, who are worried because she seems to be suffering. She starts to cry a little upon seeing Akutsu, and Yuka immediately blames him for this. They take her to the infirmary so she can rest, and after some time, she wakes up and starts to think about her recent feelings, admitting she can't control them. Her moment of reflection is interrupted by Akutsu, who came to see how she was doing, and she pretends to continue sleeping because she's nervous. She believes he only came to try to win her over, so she thinks about doing something against him while also imagining them together, but quickly forces herself to remember that he's a demon. She asks him what he wants from her, and we see him removing his tie. Lily sees his chest and quickly hides, thinking he was going to attack her in her sleep. So she uses her chains to restrain him, and he doesn't know what's going on, but she tells him he deserves it. Akutsu explains it was all just a misunderstanding, and he just had a favor he wanted to ask her. He asks her to remove his tattoo, explaining how he wants to be able to go to the public bath. Lily wonders about his mission, but Akutsu explains that he also wants to enjoy the time that he has in a place that's so beautiful. He thinks she might not understand since she lives in a bright world, but Lily seems to understand his feelings. So she decides to help him rewrite the necklace with her powers, but as she starts, her chains break and a girl with an axe suddenly appears out of nowhere and attacks Akutsu. He manages to escape at the last second, and when he asks who she is, Lily explains that she's her avatar, an anti-demon weapon that she hid in his seal in case he tried to betray her. It seems she was accidentally freed, but suddenly she also attacks Lily, who manages to dodge. She wonders why she's attacking her since she should only respond to demons, and Lily thinks it's malfunctioning after being kept inside a demon's body for so long. Suddenly, the teacher appears after hearing the commotion. He becomes the next target, but Lily and Akutsu manage to save him from her attack. Lily restrains her with her chains and throws her against the wall as she asks Akutsu to run with the teacher. The teacher says he's not going to make it and pretends to die. Akutsu notes he's completely fine, but is moved by his performance. Lily complains they are too slow, and she drags the teacher away with her chains. They jump out the window to the courtyard, drawing the avatar to an open space where Lily creates a barrier with her chains to prevent involving anyone else. They begin the battle, and Lily and Akutsu work together to defeat her. She manages to break the chains, so Lily is surprised that her avatar is stronger than usual. But she realizes what's happening when she sees the tattoo on her back. Akutsu advances, but he can't face her alone as she kicks him away. Akutsu tells Lily to run, but seeing the mark has made her lose all hope. Akutsu defends her because he's not willing to lose and reminds her that they both came to Earth with a mission, so they can't leave until they complete it. Lily feels pathetic for losing the will to fight as soon as she saw the mark, surprised that a demon reminded her of her purpose. Lily becomes motivated and comes up with a plan that requires Akutsu's help. She mentions that her avatar is being controlled by someone else, so she needs him to distract her so she can free her from the control. So Akutsu creates a dust screen with a stripe to the ground, which allows him to attack from behind. He gets cut by the axe, but it turns out to be a clone created from Lily's chain. He manages to hold her off long enough for Lily to undo the seal on her back, and several snakes suddenly appear. But Lily uses her remaining energy to eliminate them. The avatar vanishes as Akutsu notes that his body feels heavy. Lily admits that the fight would have been easier if his powers hadn't been sealed. So she apologizes for that, but ends up passing out. We see the woman responsible, and she seems interested in Lily, wondering if she was always this strong. So she decides to send her brother for further investigation. At night, we see Akutsu taking care of Lily. He covers her with a blanket, and just before he's about to leave, Lily grabs onto him, telling him not to go. Akutsu can't believe what she's saying, and wonders if she wants him to stay the night. He sees her hand shaking, so he decides to stay. Even though she's an angel, Akutsu thinks it was a long day, but in the end, he wasn't able to change his collar. He remembers how she said that her avatar was being controlled and wonders if there's an issue in her. He realizes that he's helping an angel and thinks he should have abandoned her earlier, but he didn't want to see her die. Akutsu thinks he's a good guy for this, but suddenly, a figure appears, thinking otherwise, and he looks just like Akutsu. Akutsu questions who he is, but the guy reveals that he's Akutsu. Akutsu gets confused, so he thinks he's dreaming, but the guy says it doesn't matter. He thinks that Akutsu isn't just a good guy, and remembers that Akutsu is a demon, while Lily is an angel, and there must be a bigger reason for him to help an enemy. So he thinks that it's love. But Akutsu is disturbed hearing this. He argues that it's not true, but the guy knows everything about him. He asks Akutsu not to get angry since he has a good chance with Lily, remembering how she asked him to stay. Akutsu thinks she was just scared, but his doppelganger has another theory, thinking Lily is also in love with him. Lily starts moving on the bed, and Akutsu wants to see her cute face. Her eyes appear, but it's actually just his teacher, and they are both terrified by this as they get attacked. After that, Lily wakes up and realizes she's already home, so she goes to the bathroom to take a shower. But we see Akutsu sitting on the floor. She comes out of the bathroom and can't remember how she got home, but she suddenly sees Akutsu. He cries after his encounter with the teacher, and she wonders why he's in her room, but remembers what she said before and is embarrassed about it, cursing herself for talking in her sleep. She thinks she has no choice, preparing to erase his memories, but she sees a cut on his hand and remembers how he was cut during the battle. She blushes as she realizes he was hurt protecting her, so she decides to treat his hand. She wonders why he saved her since he could have just walked away, but she thanks him anyway. Akutsu mumbles something and she yells that she won't give him any reward. But she remembers how she promised him a hug for every 10 jobs well done. She seems nervous since it was just a joke, but thinks what he did was worth 1,000 good jobs. She tells him he did good, but Akutsu mentions the word hug, so she thinks he remembers. She starts to freak out and asks him not to talk nonsense, but realizes that she was the one who said it first. She doesn't want to go back on her word because of her pride, but still finds it too embarrassing. She wonders what to do, but ends up deciding to give him a hug. Akutsu is still sleeping, so she realizes that she can't hug him now. But she also doesn't want him to ask after he wakes up, since it would be even worse, so she thinks she's doomed. We see that Akutsu is dreaming about his teacher, and he's in a lesson about how to understand women. His teacher says that in order to understand a woman, he must think like a woman, showing him how it's done. Akutsu tries it as well, and he ends up talking in his sleep. Lily thinks he's teasing her in his sleep, so she wants to get the hug over with. She finds the best spot to do it, sitting between his legs, but steams out of embarrassment. She hopes he doesn't wake up, but he suddenly hugs her and she starts freaking out. But she notices that his hands are shaking, thinking he must be having a nightmare after almost losing his life. So she hugs him back to calm him down, realizing that being hugged feels good. She realizes that she forgot to fix his collar, so she decides to change its color as his reward. Lily feels content, but she suddenly notices the hole that Akutsu made in her window, with a note apologizing for having no money to pay for it. Lily starts to think about how he brought her home, and realizes that she was carried in his arms, so she starts freaking out again. The next morning, Akutsu wakes up chained. He manages to get free and decides to go home, but notices the bandage on his hand, realizing it was Lily. When Lily wakes up, she sees Akutsu making coffee. He asks how she's feeling, but she assures him that she doesn't need a demon's concern, so he thinks she's fine. She wonders what he's doing there and realizes he made breakfast. She asks why he did that, but Akutsu says he was just thanking her for his hand. But she explains that it's just her duty as his owner. He tells her to eat, but Lily notices that he's having trouble holding the food, so she prepares to feed him. But he wonders what she's doing, so she quickly hides it. Akutsu comments that she has a lot of bell peppers, but Lily clarifies that she never said she didn't like them, telling him to shut up. They get ready for school, and Lily thinks he looks good today. But Akutsu says goodbye and starts walking in the opposite direction. Lily is confused, so he tells her he's going to skip the first class because he needs a shower, but Lily finds this unacceptable. Akutsu reminds her that he saved her, but she thinks that he was just doing his duty and says that his collar would have exploded if he didn't help, leaving Akutsu in shock. But Lily reveals she was just lying, so Akutsu gets mad at her. She tells him to be grateful and reveals that she changed his collar while he was sleeping. Akutsu realizes it and quickly thanks Lily, thinking he can finally go to the pools. But they are suddenly seen by Yuka and Hirota, who start freaking out, thinking that they just spent the night together. Lily calls Akutsu to the terrace because they have a problem, calling what happened in the morning a tragedy. She explains that the class is in turmoil since they were seen leaving her apartment together, and she can't believe the whole class already knows about this. Lily reveals that after Hirota and Yuka saw them, she tried to go after them, but they vanished without a trace. So she entered the class, hoping everything would be normal, but she immediately realized that everyone was waiting for her. She thought she could deal with them since they're just humans, but as soon as she sat down, they attacked her like snakes. Lily is glad that she survived, and Akutsu wonders how a rumor can spread so fast. So she explains that it was Hirota. We learned that he was in shock after seeing the two of them together, and kept repeating that Akutsu and Lily seemed to have slept together, so everyone heard him. Akutsu doesn't care about the rumor because it shouldn't affect his life. But he changes his mind when he thinks about his job since the girls won't talk to him if they think he's dating Lily. So he decides to help her get rid of the rumor, but she realizes that he's extremely nervous. Lily thinks it's time to show the humans the theater of an angel and a demon, deciding to put her plan into action. Lily returns to her classroom and we see that she's surrounded by the girls. Lily starts to explain what happened, but she gets up to get a drink. She opens the door and she sees Akutsu, but they act like they're just friends. The class thinks it's a cheap act, but a weeb named Koya starts talking, and she overanalyzes the situation, saying the distance between the two of them was perfect for friends. She explains that if they were pretending, the distance wouldn't be so perfect, so she thinks they aren't in a relationship, but she suggests observing them more. Akutsu realizes that Lily's plan is working, thinking angels are scary, but he hears Yuka talking about Lily's excuse. Lily claimed that he accidentally entered her condo, but he fell into a trap, being encased in stone until she happened to show up to help him. He thinks the story is ridiculously stupid, and Yuka wonders who gets encased in stone these days. So Akutsu starts shaking his uniform, taking out the marble from his clothes to make the story more believable, and it seems to work. During lunchtime, Yuka is happy that Hirota is back to normal, and Lily wonders what she's plotting by calling her to have lunch together. She apologizes for being curious and feeds Lily to make up for it. She mentions that Akutsu also wants to be fed, so Lily thinks that her plan is to make her feed him, but Yuka suddenly offers to feed him herself. We learn that Koya's plan is to make them jealous, while Yuka wants to take advantage and make Hirota jealous as well. Akutsu doesn't seem to mind, but Lily emits an evil aura, so Yuka fears for her life. But Lily gives her a fake smile. Yuka thinks they aren't dating because Akutsu seems too calm about it, but she notices Lily's reaction. Lily wonders why she's so irritated, but she convinces herself that it's because she doesn't want to look at Akutsu. Yuka decides to be more aggressive, and she asks Akutsu to go out with her. So they go on a date, and the first thing they do is buy glasses for her. Akutsu finds her suspicious, but she assures him that she's not scheming anything, and he's impressed with her shirt, so he's happy to be with her, thinking she's pretty. But we see Lily watching them, and she appears to be angry. She tries to justify her behavior, thinking she's on a mission to ensure that Akutsu won't say anything. We see that Yuya is with her because she thinks about Akutsu and Yuka's reaction if they see her alone. Hirota is the assurance so they won't think she's spying on them, and she invited Yuya so that no one would think that she's on a date with Hirota. But she mentions that Yuya is optional. Yuya thinks Yuka and Akutsu are having fun, and he comments on how good they look together, but Lily is hurt by his comments. He thinks Yuka is trying to make Lily confess her feelings, so he decides to help. They continue watching Akutsu and Yuka having fun, and Yuya guides Lily so she doesn't miss anything. She starts feeling strange seeing them together, so she wonders what's wrong with her. Yuya suggests that she should be more honest with her feelings, and he gives the same advice to Hirota before leaving. Lily asks Hirota about what he said, but he gets nervous and says he's going to the bathroom. Lily thinks about what Yuya said, realizing that he sensed her jealousy, and she wants to deny it, but her heart won't allow it. Akutsu and Yuka suddenly appear, and Lily decides to jump into the bushes, but she discovers there's water there. She has to stay quiet, or they might discover her, so she has no choice but to endure the cold. They start talking, and Yuka wonders if Akutsu likes Lily. She can't believe they're talking about this, and Akutsu tries to be straightforward, saying he finds her cute, so she starts smiling. Yuka asks him what he likes about her, and Akutsu notes that they're enemies. But he decides to be honest. He confesses that he finds her attractive because she's strong and she's focused on achieving her goals. He also finds her kind, but Yuka teases him for taking the question seriously. And Lily almost drowns in embarrassment, thinking she's being tortured. Yuka asks an important question, wondering if he would like to go out with Lily. Her heart starts racing, but he explains that it isn't going to happen because they have different goals in mind, considering that they're natural enemies. Lily becomes devastated after hearing this, and she runs away as they hear a noise. But they see Harada, wondering what he's doing there. He accidentally tells them that the drink was for Lily, so he receives a punishment from Yuka, thinking he was spying on them. They decide to end the date while Akutsu thinks about Lily being around, thinking she may have heard everything. We see Lily home, and she thinks she might end up getting sick. She decides to go to bed early, but keeps thinking about what Akutsu said. As she recalls that they're an angel and a demon, she realizes it's impossible for them to be together. At midnight, she starts to feel sick, and her chains suddenly appear as her avatar emerges out of nowhere. The next morning, Lily doesn't show up at school because she has a fever, and Akutsu finds this peaceful, but he's shocked to see her avatar. Yuya and Hirota wonder if Akutsu knows her, and she begins to speak, introducing herself as Lily's older sister, Lilia. She announces that she'll attend class for Lily, but everyone finds this strange, so she tells them that she'll talk to the teacher. The teacher arrives, and Lilia tries to convince him to let her attend the class. He initially refuses, but he suddenly remembers when she attacked him, so he decides to accept her proposal out of fear. And everyone celebrates because they're delighted to have Lily's new version. Akutsu is worried and believes she'll attack him at any moment, but he knows that he can't do anything for now. Lilia pretends that she has never met him before, and she explains that her sister has spoken a lot about him, mentioning that she feels indebted to him for his help. Lilia explains that she could come because Lily got sick, and Akutsu knows that the illness allowed her to escape. The class begins, and Akutsu notices that she's just sitting there, so he thinks that she was sent to watch him. He wonders what she's plotting, but she's just having trouble putting the lead in her pencil. He thinks he's overthinking it and finds her clumsy, but the lead is suddenly launched toward his head. She pretends it was an accident, but she clearly doesn't have good intentions. They go to physical education class, and everyone is enchanted by Lilia. She decides to demonstrate an angel's might and takes aim at Akutsu, who instinctively gets into a fighting stance to defend himself. But he still gets knocked out. We see Akutsu on the bench, thinking about why Lilia called him out. He thinks she's going to hurt him, but she actually apologizes for attacking him the other day. Akutsu says it's okay because it all happened while she was being manipulated, so there's no reason to hold a grudge. Lilia mentions that he's an unusual demon, but he explains that he could say the same about her, as no one would apologize to their master's enemy. So he thinks she's like Lily. Lilia explains that avatars are influenced by their master's souls when they merge with them in both appearance and behavior. But some masters don't allow them to have their own consciousness and turn them into a kind of puppet. Lilia reveals that she was interested in coming to school, wanting to experience it herself. She reveals that she can experience everything Lily feels when she's inside her, saying everything has changed since she came to Earth. She explains that it was painful to watch her from heaven, and here she faces a series of challenges, but she also enjoys her life. So Lilia decided to go to school to see what changed. But Akutsu still doesn't understand why she's trying to hurt him, and she reveals that it was an act of protest since Lily got sick because of him. Akutsu is completely clueless, so she comments that he should ask his heart, but he still has no idea. So Lilia speaks directly, saying he knew that Lily was in love, but he went on a date with another girl while she was watching. Akutsu can't even process what he just heard, but Yuka seems to have heard everything. She smiles at them and announces that she has a request. Yuka decides to visit Lily with them, but they don't want to meet Lily, and Lilia tries to escape. But Akutsu grabs onto her as he realizes that she didn't ask for Lily's permission to go to school, and he convinces her to join them. Lily meets her friends, but is shocked to see Lilia. and she tries to pretend in front of Yuka, who mentions that Lily doesn't talk much about her. So Lilia uses the chance to tell everything about Lily, and she starts to spill Lily's secrets. But this tests Lily's patience, and she sends her to buy soap, thinking about signing the return papers afterward. Lily leaves to get tea, and she's starting to regret making Lilia self-aware. Yuka asks Akutsu to check on Lily because of her illness, but it's just an excuse for them to spend time alone. Lily still isn't feeling well, and she's happy to see Akutsu preventing her from falling. But she remembers what he said to Yuka, so she becomes obsessed. He wonders what's wrong with her, so she starts asking him about his date with Yuka, as she notes that she can't control her emotions. He admits that he had fun, so she becomes angry, telling him to leave. But she ends up fainting. She wakes up next to Yuka, who apologizes for coming without giving her a heads up, and she explains that she needs to go, but mentions that Akutsu will stay until Lilia arrives. But before leaving, Yuka tells her that Akutsu is cool. She also says goodbye to Akutsu and tells him to never say never, thinking about what he said about Lily. He thinks about what Lilia said, so he revisits the moments of the day with Yuka and realizes she must have heard everything. Akutsu suddenly hears a noise coming from the room and remembers what Yuka said. Something bad happened to Lily. He enters the room, but he realizes that she was just having a nightmare. She was calling for his help in her dream, and she holds his arm, causing him to freak out. She wakes up without a fever and returns back to normal, but she realizes that she's holding on to him, so she becomes embarrassed. Akutsu shares Lilia's reasons for going to school and how that made him happy, so Lily starts bragging that Lilia was influenced by her. He thinks that the world would be more peaceful if all angels were like her, but she becomes embarrassed again. He tells her that he'll return to wait for Lilia, but she asks him not to leave the room. She doesn't want to have nightmares, so she asks him to hold her hand until she falls asleep, and both are embarrassed by this. She explains that he told her to count on him if she needed anything, so he can't blame her for doing this. She starts blushing, and it's the first time he sees her being so honest with herself. So he agrees and extends his hand. She holds it, but Lilia appears and interrupts them, scaring both of them. Lilia managed to buy the soap, and she reveals that she felt a warmth in her chest, thinking it must be because of Lily's emotions. So she wonders what they were doing. They can't say anything out loud, so they just suffer in silence. The next day, Lily and Akutsu are happy, and they plan to go out and eat something to celebrate Lily's recovery. But a man suddenly arrives to ruin their moment. Lily reveals that he's her brother, Zia, and Akutsu realizes he's also an angel. Zia wonders who Akutsu is, but Akutsu is in shock, so she explains that he's her classmate. Zia decides to introduce himself, and he's pleased to meet a friend of Lily's. He explains that he hasn't seen Lily in a while, so he wants to spend family time alone with her. Lily agrees, so she says goodbye to Akutsu, but she also seems worried while Akutsu watches them walking away. Akutsu thinks about what happened, and he's happy that his identity wasn't revealed. He thinks about them having family time and wonders if Lily is the type to be close to her brother. He remembers that Lily seemed uncomfortable, and he wonders why. But he thinks that Zia must be a nice guy since he's her brother, so he thinks she's going to be fine. We see a barrier that Zia created to talk to Lily alone. He orders her to keep bowing and admits he's surprised she has a friend. But Lily explains that Akutsu is only in the same class as her and they don't have a connection. She asks why he came, but he pulls out a sword and warns her not to move without permission, or else she'll end up getting hurt. Lily apologizes to him and Zia explains that he came on behalf of their older sister and he wants to ask something. He wonders how she defeated the avatar blessed by their sister, and Lily remembers her bow with Akutsu. Zia thinks it would be difficult for her to disable the avatar to remove the blessing. So Lily explains that she summoned the avatar out of curiosity and she had to fight for her life when Lilia attacked. But she managed to disable it and remove the blessing. She explains that she didn't come out unscathed and shows him an old wound. Zia wonders if this is true and Lily starts to shake, but he decides to let it go. He mentions that she was sent to the human world to defeat demons, but all the demons she faces are only beast types. He can't believe there aren't humanoid demons around and asks Lily if she's lazy or scheming something. But Lily explains that humanoid demons are harder to find because they have a mind of their own. So Zia declares that in this case, it's a matter of incompetence. He admits that he and their older sister were worried that she was planning something because of her grudge against them, and he reminds Lily how she was treated by her sister. He explains that it's hard not to think about it, but Lily asks him why he's suggesting something like that, because she's grateful for the work she received from him. Zia understands, and he apologizes for doubting her. He thinks he has heard all that is necessary and will report back to their sister, so he congratulates Lily on the good job. She thanks him, and Zia mentions he has one last thing to ask. He wonders if she's sure she just summoned her avatar and it went crazy since her sister prepared a little prank for her. He explains that she set a trap to give trouble to her, and Lily wonders what he means. He explains that there was a condition to activate the trap, and it was to have a demon nearby when she summoned her avatar. He suddenly charges and pins her to the ground. He summons his sword and asks if there wasn't a demon by her side at that time. Meanwhile, inside Lily, Lilia tries to get out, but she's chained by Lily's chains. Zia tells her not to lie and asks who the demon is and what she's hiding. Lily wonders what she can do and thinks about Akutsu. We see him watching everything from a distance and trying to stay calm so he doesn't jump in there. He doesn't understand what is happening and wonders why she's being attacked, realizing that Zia is an angel that's even stronger than her. He apologizes to Lily and starts to turn away. He calls his boss and thinks that Zia is a cruel and brutal angel, just like in the books. And because he spent so much time with Lily, he almost forgot what angels are really like. He thinks about Lily and believes that deep down, she must be the same because all angels are the same. Liz asks what's going on, and Akutsu tells her that he found an angel. He explains that he didn't try to fight alone and will run away as far away as possible. But he changes his mind and explains to Liz that that's what he would like to say. But he jumps in and tells her that he has been discovered. He hangs up, and Zia remembers that he's the guy from before. He wonders where he came from and realizes that he jumped from the top of the building. Zia understands that he hid his identity and realizes that Akutsu must be a demon. He lunges at him, but Akutsu dodges. He notices Akutsu has transformed and mentions that Lily lied to him, so she must be punished. He decides to deal with Akutsu first, and Akutsu wonders how he'll get out of this, but he's suddenly caught by Lily's chains. She asks why he showed up and thinks it's all over. She mentions that he only needed to hold on a little longer, but Akutsu explains his body moved on its own, and seeing her cry ruins his day. She releases him from the chains, and Akutsu explains that they just need to defeat Zia without killing him. Lily thinks he doesn't have a chance since he can only use half his power thanks to the collar, but Akutsu decides to try anyway, and Zia admits that he likes him. He decides to give him a chance, and if Akutsu lands a hit on him, he'll pretend nothing happened. He attacks Akutsu, but Akutsu dodges and kicks him. Zia sends him away, and Akutsu realizes that his saber is a problem. He charges again while Zia uses the saber, but Akutsu breaks his. Zia finds him interesting, and he calls the Cortez. There are 4 girls that pin Akutsu, and we learn they are Zia's avatars. Akutsu tries to move, but Zia explains that they're as strong as him. He calls Lily to him and asks how she got a demon as her partner. Zia wonders if it was through seduction, but thinks she couldn't do it with her disgusting body. He decides to show it to Akutsu, but Lily cries and begs him to stop. But Zia denies her, and he reveals her legs. Akutsu wonders what he's doing, so Zia explains that he's educating him, revealing the marks that Lily was hiding with her chains, and she has them wrapped all over her body. Akutsu gets angrier, and Zia wonders why he's hanging out with the enemy. He mentions that Lily doesn't have wings, but Akutsu remembers that she has them. So Zia tells her to show them. She summons her wings, but Zia laughs and asks if Akutsu didn't know. So he approaches her and cuts off her wings, revealing that they were just her chains. Zia mentions that the wings are a symbol of an angel's power, so she's considered a fraud. And he tells Akutsu to witness what real angel wings are like. To all Leaf Village ninjas. That is it for today. Recap, do not forget to join our clan, our army, my friend. You can do that by clicking that red button below the video. Destroy it for me with that bell. to follow us in YouTube with many videos to come in the following days. So see you later, bro. Peace out.